or to do the unpardonable and interrupt lovely music. I shouldn't do that.
You know what?
What?
There is no such thing as interrupting music. Music started sometime, and it will never stop, and it's just a case of whether you tune in or whether you don't.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present on tonight's evening show the legendary Mr. Virgil Fox.
It's fun to be a legend in one's own time.
In one's own time.
Certainly is.
Yeah. Awful lot of young people are suddenly becoming interested in the great organ.
I am so proud of my young people, Eric, as I cannot tell you, because there's nothing wrong with them. So many people have said that there's a great complaint about young people. They're off the deep end. They're into this, they're into that. Young people, when they have the leadership of Bach and when they have the texts of Martin Luther, are the greatest on all sides of this earth. And in another second, it's going to settle who is the greatest composer in the world. And Bach seems to be the fifth evangelist. He seems to be that man who has given pictorial language, as Schweitzer calls it, to these marvelous shapes in sound. He's able to make the shape of the sound like the shape of this magnificent cathedral in which we find ourselves, and at the same time to treat a text that deals with the profound things of life. You know, I'm living at last, because I started in the Midwest of this country on a farm that my mother still owns, I'm happy to say, but I'm living on the edge of the ocean. I lived first in Gloucester, Massachusetts for a short time, and now I'm living in Florida, in Palm Beach, and I've been fortunate enough to take a house where we have 18 feet of the beach that belongs with the property, and 150 steps from my house I can be on 18 feet of the Atlantic coast that I own, by gum.
This is the new organ, right?
Well,
They kid you about your show business. You know, you're a dazzler. You know.
They love to kid me about it for one reason. I think it's because they didn't have whatever it takes to think of it themselves first. There's one thing sure, if you have something to show, you have to get in a position where you can show it. And I don't imagine there's any other place in the world where there are two organs in the same building as we have here right now. And this one can do the great wedge fugue that I am very keen to have you see. And this is Bach, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 1. It is a thrilling experience to go into a concert hall on one level and to walk out having attained a plateau that is considerably higher. And that's what the secret of the whole bloody thing is. It is so exciting and so thrilling. And I am so moved by my young people, because once I tell them what's going to happen, once I show them what is inside of the thing that's going to be opened up, and then get on the bench and jolly well do it, they recognize the total honesty in the operation, and they come forth the same as I come forth. And in this cathedral, we had just as many shouts and screams and stompings and yellings at the end of a Bach fugue. It is a miracle, as one would have for rock and roll. Here's the wedge in the left hand. This is called development. And in a minute, you're going to hear what he develops. Is it any wonder that you can ride to another plateau with Bach?
I must ask you, where did you first meet the master of your life here, the magic keyboard.
The magic keyboard. I am confident that I played an organ with pipes, keys, pedals, and all the gadgets in a former incarnation. Now, what makes me say that? When I was just a kid, I went into a church in my native Illinois town, and I was with a school chum who was a very tough guy. And I looked at these pipes, and he looked at me, and he saw this look on my face, and he looked at me quizzically, and he said, "Would you like to play that?" And I said, "Oh, Phil, I certainly would." We walked up, tried the lid, and it was locked. My heart fell. He looked at me again and said, "Would you really like to play that?" And I said, "Of course I would." And to my absolute horror, he stood up, grabbed a hold of that lid, and tore the lock off of that Feldjamako organ built in Erie, PA, that was in the First Methodist Church of Princeton, Illinois. And I, when he ripped the lid open, said, "My God, I have seen that organ in a dream. I know what it sounds like." Turned it on and sat down and played. When one approaches the organ and realizes that it is the king of instruments and that there is no way to even play all of the Bach repertoire, I would like to say that I shall play the organ forever. Then it says, "Hallelujah."